Hello everyone and welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. We're going to do my mid-month wrap-up today. So far in the month of January, I have finished eight books, which is really impressive just looking at that number. And I am still impressed with it, but I have read 4 Shakespeare plays, so that is a lot less than it actually sounds. I have gone through them. I'm just gonna go through this first as my wrap up, as this is a big book and it's heavy. So of this book, these are the plays I have left to watch in the Hollow Crown. I watched Henry IV, Part 1 and 2, and Henry V in the Hollow Crown series. So I counted it as read on this goal of mine, and I really loved this series adaptation. I loved how it showed Henry IV struggling to maintain his kingship and how he was struggling to pass on the seriousness of that role to his son Hal. And then I loved in Henry V watching them back to back. I loved watching how Harry, who's former Hal, has grown up and now he has discovered what it means to be a king, and also he's figuring out how to be a king himself, which I thought was really great. I loved it. I didn't really love Henry IV. I think it was Part 1. I think I gave Henry IV Part 2 3 stars. One of them I gave 3 stars, the other one I gave 5 stars, and then Henry V I gave 5 stars. So really loved that, and I'm excited to get into Henry VI and Richard III. So finishing off the Hollow Crown mini-series and also finishing off the Histories series by Shakespeare. I also read A Midsummer Night's Dream for readathon prompt on my TBR clue game, as I realized that's a very easy way to fulfill the prompt and do that for Books and Lala's she formerly ran this readathon where now she's given it to the people essentially. And the prompt for January, because every month there's a prompt, is the word dream. So I listened to a 2.5-hour audiobook of A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was a reread, really enjoyed it. And it was a new audiobook for me, and I thought the cast was great. And I'm excited to read or listen to more audiobook radio dramas from this company, publishing group, acting cast. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm excited to pick it up. I will put the picture here of that. I recommend checking them out. And I'm excited to read more Shakespeare. I think January is the month for Shakespeare, and I am loving it so far. Another book that I read was Jingle Bell Bride by Jillian Hart. This one was a 3-star. It was okay. It was a Christmassy romance about 2 doctors who fall in love very quickly. And that's a trope I don't really like in books. I don't really like it when it's like a 2-week romance kind of thing, and that's kind of how this one went. So that was my iffy part. I also felt like, I know it's a romance, but it was very cliche in too much of a cliche way. I like cliche romances with something a little fun, something unexpected, and this one had nothing unexpected. So there's that. One of the doctors was a single dad, so he had 1 little girl, and then the other doctor, she is a doctor who has been spurned before and is having a hard time with trust issues, or with trust and relationships and how that works. So, it was cute. It was an easy read, but nothing spectacular, so I'm giving it 3 stars. So my next book that I read was V by Kim Thuy. This one was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 stars. It was very short. It was like 145 pages, but it's about a Vietnamese girl and her family essentially, or those who she's connected with as they immigrate from Vietnam to Quebec. And the author herself did immigrate, but it's not an autobiography or memoir, but it feels very much like her own story. So I thought it was really, really well done and really clever. I really enjoyed how she did little vignettes of people's stories and how they related to her. Like she'd talk about her grandfather and how he was trained in France, and then she'd talk about her mother and how she met her father, and then how they moved to Canada, and then how they also met different people in their lives. It was just wonderfully told and beautifully crafted, and I just felt like it was a little short and I wanted more in a way. I felt like it was such a beautiful book, and I really, really enjoyed it. Uh, it was wonderful. And if you're watching this in January, and you have an Overdrive account, there is a free ebook available to anyone on Overdrive, like all Canada-wide, as like a Nation Reads or Canada Reads program. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's very short, but very powerful and really, really incredible. Just the story of strength and perseverance and, you know, how life goes on. It was incredible, and I really enjoyed reading it. Another book that I read was Becoming by Michelle Obama. So I read V for a book club and Becoming for a book club. This one, I really enjoyed how it just told her story. It wasn't very political. It was very little on the political side, which I appreciated. And I'm giving it 4 stars. Nope, I said 5 stars, 5 stars. Because it just was all about her life. And it was started like when she was a child and how her parents raised her. And it was just her telling her story. It did talk about her and how she met Barack, and then how she struggled with the presidential campaign, and then how living in the White House was hard, how she took on the role of First Lady and how that was difficult. And that was interesting. All of it, I really enjoyed it. And I also really enjoyed the audiobook, which I've listened to partially. I was able to read a lot of it as well. And I highly recommend it if you're just interested in her as a person and as someone who wants to change the world, and do things for the better. She definitely wants to invoke change, and it showed in this book, and I really truly appreciated what she stands for about education and health and priorities, and then also how she talked about prioritizing a family and her children during the White House and all of those little things. It was very important to her, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, 5 stars, really highly recommend. So the last book that I read was Somewhere in France by Jennifer Robson. This was my TBR jar pick. I finished one already, which is great. And this one was definitely historical romance. I don't read a lot of them. I tend to read romance or historical, not too much of a combination, or at least that's so focused on historical romance. So that was interesting. This one takes place in France, but it takes place on the front lines essentially, where you have Robbie, who is a doctor, and so he is in the army as a doctor, and he's a surgeon doing all these surgeries, and then he has his best friend's little sister, Lily, who is a lady. Her father's an earl, and it is quite problematic for her to leave that situation, but she decides to do her duty for her country and flee the nest. And they are writing letters to each other, and it's a love story. I don't want to say anything more. I feel like that's a little bit to be expected. I don't want to spoil it, but the back does say some stuff, which I feel like was revealed a little bit later on in the book. So I don't really want to, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to call it spoilery for now if you don't want to know anything else going into it. Before I say that, before I go into spoilers, I'll say this. I'm giving it 4 stars. I thought it was really interesting. It showed war and showed the doctor's side of things. I thought that was great. I did feel like it was building to something, and it was pretty clean until the last 40 pages. So if you're looking for a clean romance, you can go to the last 40 pages, skip a chapter or 2, and then move on. You're fine. Now I'm going to go into what I would consider spoilery, but the back doesn't consider spoilery. So enter at your own will. Lily is an ambulance driver. So the back does say that she becomes an ambulance driver and meets up with Robbie on the front. And so that's kind of where their relationship begins to blossom according to the back. And it was sweet. So yeah, I don't know. It was it was good and it kept me interested and I really did enjoy it. It's about the First World War, but I just was like, why did they have to do that 40 pages to the end? Couldn't they have done that behind closed doors? But they didn't. Oh well, it's just not my kind of thing. And I'm glad that some people can really love that part of this book, and I'm glad it was a very, very short section of this book. So there's that. Anyways, that was the last book that I've read so far in the month. So I was just about to go to bed and all that, and I put my hair up and everything. And then I realized I should probably update you on how all these rooms play out. And I'll try to do this throughout the year as well with my TBR game. So the dining room was Miss Scarlet, and I switched out Killing Floor with V as it has a red cover, and I don't know if I'll get to Killing Floor this month. I will try my hardest, but it is not top priority anymore. Then I had the kitchen, which I switched out the Agatha Christie short story collection for Midsummer Night's Dream, and that one has been done, so that's 2 rooms down. Then I had the conservatory, which is done, which is Somewhere in France, checked off. And then the library, which was a romance, and I did have Jingle Bell's Bride in there. I don't feel like Becoming fits in any of these rooms, and I don't feel like I can squeeze in any of the Henry plays into any of these rooms either, so we're just going with it. And I'm gonna have to finish the next 5 rooms in the next 5 books I'm hopefully gonna be reading anyways. So please let me know down below how your reading's going for the month. If you've finished some books off, what's your favorite so far? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Also, please like this video if you liked it, and if you're new here, subscribe please if you enjoyed my content, and I'll talk to you next time with another video. Bye for now.